One of the things I love about gravel riding is, for me, the gravel bike, although it may be an imperfect tool in certain ways for certain jobs, it is the tool that can do all of the jobs. And so for me, it opened a lot of doors in that now I can step out my front door, and whether I go straight into the woods, onto the road, head to the trails, go to the mountains, I have the perfect tool at my disposal to do all of those things in one day. Anytime you turn something you do into a vocation, it changes the equation, right? So even though I loved my job, and I love the process of training, and I love sort of discovering new limits for myself, there's no way around it. You know, at some point it will at times feel like a job. And so, you know, road cycling had, after, you know, over a decade of doing it as a profession, had started to feel like a job, you know, in that it had a consistent rhythm to it. And in the gravel scene, it's all new to me, right? Like I'm as inexperienced as anybody else out there. I sort of like being the newbie and asking people, hey, what tires are you gonna use? What pressure? What gears? You know, like what's that course like? Is that a fun event? You know, are there cool people behind that organization? It's all a lot of new inputs for me. So I'm less able to go through the motions. I have to like work harder to figure out what my process is now. And I enjoy that process. So gravel to me has felt like an opportunity to sort of, you know, re-explore all of my approaches, whether it's training, nutrition, race prep, equipment. You know, it's all just new. So one of the things that, you know, is sort of new to me, gravel cycling versus road cycling, is I found myself playing around a lot more with my equipment, and when you get it right, it's just like those kind of magical days where your fitness all comes together, and you feel like a superhero on the bike. When your equipment is, you know, matched perfectly to the terrain and the surfaces you're riding, it can feel like that too. And so it's fun to dabble with those, and yeah, you're gonna get it wrong 9 times out of 10, but when you get it right, it's a special day and you'll remember it. I really like these gravel events because of the community that comes together for them. And so being part of that community is extremely important to me. And I don't think showing up to these races and putting your head down and racing for the best result you can achieve allows you to do that. I mean, each one of these events is extremely unique. Even picking the calendar is a really tough thing to do when you're new to this, because you don't know which events you're going to love and which ones are kind of going to be less of your cup of tea. And I could use my old mindset and go, okay, well, which races are best suited to me? But that, again, is you know, I'm sort of missing some of the point, which is, you know, you're not just going to races and events to perform as best as you can. You're going to events that you want to support, and ones that, you know, you can contribute something to. Coming into this space, I definitely wanted to set intention for approaching it differently. And that means that, you know, unlike on the road, you know, when things go sideways, it doesn't have to be a bad day. There is no wrong version. There is no bad version. We can go out, and whatever we experience on that day of the event is a good experience. A lot of why I got into this version of racing or riding was to pull away a bit from the really intense, you know, European race scene. I had gotten to a point in my career where I checked a lot of the boxes I set out to check, and I wanted to rediscover the things that I fell in love with when I started riding a bike. It feels like, yeah, like a homecoming. You got to go out and experience all of the versions, and the one that you ended up back at is the one that you started with, because that turns out that was the version that you fell in love with. That's the version you're still in love with.